It's actually crazy to me the fact that you can write down 12 words and you can carry those words wherever you want to, or you can memorize them and nobody can stop you. So I used to work at a brokerage, a self-directed brokerage. So people were trading in and out of stocks whenever they wanted to. And sometimes people would want to take self custody of their stocks. So they would want to take a stock certificate. So the bank that I worked at, we would ship them a stock certificate. And it was actually crazy to me that if somebody wants to take self custody of a stock, no matter how much stock they have, the minimum cost was like $300 to write to print out a stock certificate. Because what they would have to do is they'd have to go to the, I don't remember what it's called, but it's called DTCC or something, like the clearinghouse. They'd have to get permission from them. They'd have to move the asset from their name to the customer's name. It was a massive process. So I think the $300 was just a way for them to deter people from doing it. But to me, that was just crazy. Like, if you want, you're paying for this thing. It's like going to a grocery store and then buying food and then just leaving it there, just letting them keep it for you. It doesn't really make any sense. So that's how that was my experience, and it didn't really click to me that that was weird until I came across Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin anybody can take self custody. With the legacy financial markets, if everybody was taking self custody, it wouldn't work. Because let's say, for example, I own stock certificates and I want to sell my shares. I have to go to the bank and I have to wait until they're open. Then I have to wait until the markets are open. I have to do all this stuff. They have to verify that I actually own those stocks. They have to do all of this stuff to make sure that I actually own it. And for me to trade that stock would be next to impossible. You can't trade. We need centralization in the legacy financial system in order to be able to properly trade. We need to trust certain entities. If we can't trust entities, then there's no way of trading. Think about how cumbersome and how difficult it would be if you wanted to trade stocks and every time you wanted to trade them, you'd have to go into the exchange, you have to go into a bank, you have to give them a physical stock certificate. Imagine how difficult that would be. It would stop everybody from trading. There would be no trading. There would be no free market. People wouldn't be trading like that. People would probably be trading amongst themselves. People wouldn't even want to own stocks at that point. I think it would be so difficult that people wouldn't even want to own them. But with Bitcoin, it's completely different. You can take full self custody. Let's say, for example, if I buy Bitcoin from an exchange, I can get them to transfer to my wallet 10 minutes. Maybe they'll take an hour, maybe they'll take a day, whatever. But once I have it, I can do whatever I want with it. I can send it to you. I can send it to my friend. I can send it to a merchant in Tokyo. I can send it to a merchant in India. I can do whatever I want with it. At that point, because it's digital money, it differentiates it from the entire financial system. So back to what you were saying about how you can store your Bitcoin in your head. 12 words, that's all you need. You memorize those 12 words, you have access to your Bitcoin from anywhere in the world. You can't do that with real estate. Let's say, for example, if your government wants to take your property, you can't carry it anywhere with you. How are you going to take your property to, let's say, for example, all the people in Gaza, all the people in other countries, Ukraine, for example. Ukraine people are getting bombed. They have all of their money tied up in these properties. They can't do anything with it. There's literally nothing they can do. But on the other hand, with Bitcoin, they can go from place to place. They can leave their country. They can leave their city. They can do whatever they want with it as long as they have those 12 words memorized. Even if they write down those 12 words, they can carry those around with them as well. They can have a hardware wallet. So all you're doing is when you take Bitcoin into self custody, all you're doing is you're taking Bitcoin into a wallet into an address that you control, that you have the private keys for, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can carry it wherever you want to. There's no physical appearance of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is all digital. So no matter what happens, as long as you have the password to access your Bitcoin, you can move it wherever you want to. Completely different with the legacy financial system. In the legacy financial system, we have to trust somebody. With Bitcoin, you have to trust people at some point. If we want to scale up, for example, let's say we want to use Lightning, you have to trust whoever starts that Lightning channel. I don't know the exact details, but you have to trust people if you want to scale up. But on the base layer, you don't have to trust anybody. You trust yourself. You keep your own keys. You can run your own node. You can do whatever you want to. So that completely differentiates Bitcoin from everything else. Like with stocks, you can't take self custody even if you wanted to.
It really is a game changer when someone sees that. It's wild. And those the two things, Bitcoin first and valuing Bitcoin, those are the Fidelity papers like 3 or 4 years ago that are really good. They're like 20-30 page research papers that Fidelity Digital Assets did. Really, really good. And they go through all this stuff, like, the blockchain trilemma, all these and graphs and charts. They're phenomenal. The thing that I in a way is concerning, like all the technical stuff doesn't concern me at all about Bitcoin. And in the beginning, like again, we said everyone goes through the gauntlet. You're learning about it, objections here, but the technology at this point doesn't concern me at all. And this goes to Saylor. I heard a few years ago Saylor say his concern with Bitcoin was this for George Gammon, who again, George Gammon, I was someone I followed for a while, and George he's coming back this way. Like he gets it. He almost gets Bitcoin. He's right there, but he just doesn't believe humans will care necessarily enough about sound money. And that's Saylor's fear actually as well, coming from two different angles a little bit in a way, to people that have some different thoughts on how the world plays out. But like even now, like the system, most people have no idea clearly how the monetary system works, or else, was it Henry Ford or forget who it was now with the quote of like or Keynes or the revolution in the morning, if people understood how the monetary system worked. Right. So people now, is it just going to be a couple percent of us that are dragging everyone else, humanity, across the finish line? I think of the Revolutionary War. I talk about this a lot, and I'm sure the people have maybe heard me say that listen in, just 3% were the ones who fought the Revolutionary War, basically, at least in the beginning. And they dragged a few more people in over time. But most people were like, we're good. Like, we're British, we're Tories, we're British loyalists. They're whatever. They're tattling on the Patriots next door. And they're like, oh yeah, they're in there. And most people, they got the victory though. Like they got the freedom because a couple percent said, I'm not taking this crap anymore. Like, is there anything that kind of scares you in that sense? Like, to me, that's the only thing I can think of. It's just like people just don't care enough, and like Bitcoiners are the bad people. They're trying to fix, change the system, and they're too wealthy now. Like, what is it that kind of like leaves you, asleep at night, and you think about like, this is going to be interesting how this plays out.
If you want the answer to that question right there, and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. Do it.